We're delighted to have all of who are attending in person in the sanctuary and virtually via Zoom. A big welcome to everyone wherever you're attending. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious faith that carries no creed and welcomes all seekers. I should have talked a little more this morning. When you live alone and you only have a deaf dog, you don't talk a lot. Should have talked a little bit. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We are guided by a set of principles and written sources that encompass the many ways we come to know and understand the world, the universe, and the divine. Our principles are important to UU Catskills. We live our values on a daily basis. We affirm that Black Lives Matter. We're a welcoming congregation for the LGBTQ community. We are affiliate of the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network, and we are an active voice in the effort to address climate change. And we gratefully acknowledge the sacrifice of Indigenous Lenape people on whose ancestral homeland we gather. If you'd like to contact someone at UU Catskills, please visit our website, uucatskills.org, or find and like us on Facebook and Instagram. If you're a visitor on Zoom and would like to be contacted, please enter your name and contact information in the chat. If you are a visitor here and would like to identify yourself, raise your hand and a big welcome. Do we have, yeah, you are new. Yeah, welcome, welcome. From Kentucky, so Anna needs to meet them. And
I've been zooming to the services. This is our very first face-to-face.
yeah, good. Welcome, welcome. We encourage you to read our newsletter that is distributed through our email list and is on our website for information on upcoming events. There are several that coming this week that are on the back of your order of service. So that'll be on the back of your order of service. I have a couple, let me just interject these right now while I'm talking about announcements. We have sad news. Sandra Pearson's sister, Nancy Finkel, died on Tuesday, October 17th, after a long illness. A memorial service is planned for Nancy, at her home church, St. John Reformed in Upper Red Hook, next Saturday, November 4th at 11 a.m. And the obituary is available in the Poughkeepsie Journal. And then also next Sunday, right here, come for the service and stay. No, it's a 2:30. Never mind. Huh? You could stay if you want, just hang out with everybody. The second acoustical concert of the season is coming up next Sunday here at UU Catskills. Karen Oliver, a nationally touring artist who lives in Texas, will be here. The performance is at 3, refreshments and gathering at 2:30. If you'd like to reserve or get more information, see Coco or Bruce Wilde after the worship. Yay! Thank you to everyone who is assisting with today's service. Our hybrid services are made possible by our technical team. Bruce Wilde is here in the sanctuary and operates the camera and sound systems for our live Zoom. And our Zoom host this week is Kathy Kastner. Our social hour is hosted by Debbie and Diane. How do you say it? Who? Pinero Zucker. They're working in the kitchen, so that afterwards, please stay, and we will have refreshments and gathering. And if you are on Zoom, please hang around and visit with people in our virtual chat rooms. Here at UU Catskills, We all willingly share our gifts of talent, and applause is not necessary. A reminder to please take a moment, turn off your cell phones or other electronic devices. Give yourself permission to be fully present here and now. Our prelude this morning, Memories, by Andrew Lloyd Webber, played by Catherine Catapani. If any of the children would like to come up, I'm going to have Jake, I'm going to let Hazel, you can come up. My candle went out, so I'm going to just go ahead and light this one. But don't light it yet. Don't light the big one yet, okay? Hang on to it, Hazel. And then when we say our words, you can light the big one. Okay. We're going to light the chalice with our lighting chalice words. We light this chalice in grateful, loving community. Even in the darkest times, may its flame light a path of courage, justice, and hope. Perfect, thank you, thank you. And our unison affirmation, may we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. And so our opening words are going to be by our own Karl Beer.
So good morning. Yeah, I'm Karl Beard. I go by he, him, or they, if that moves you. And I chair the Memorial Garden Committee here at UU Catskills. And our opening words today are from the Methodist minister Steve Garnis Holmes. Halloween, a day when we get it right. Strangers come to us, beautiful, ugly, odd, or scary, and we accept them all without question, compliment them, treat them kindly, and give them good things. Why don't we live like that? So let's start by singing a song. It's number 52, Sweet Fields of Autumn, in your book. So now it's time for Not for Children Only, and I'd like to welcome Nancy to come up and do that for us.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Beard. I go by she, her. And today I'd like to share with you a few poems from this book called The Monsterologist, a memoir in rhyme, written by our very own Bobby Katz, who many of us may be remembering today. Now, Bobby was a writer and a poet, and she left us with so many wonderful stories and books and poems, and we are just so lucky to be able to continue to connect with her through her gift with words. Now, apparently Bobby had a special relationship with a professional monsterologist and was privileged to ghostwrite this book for them. So I'd like to share a couple of poems that look at monsters that we may not be so familiar with. But first, let's meet our monsterologist. To learn about birds, consult an ornithologist. To learn just what makes people tick, seek out a wise psychologist. But if monsters are what interest you, the how and why of what they do, I know the facts, what's false, what's true, since I'm a monsterologist. I've traveled all around the world to study and observe. At times I have been terrified, but I've never lost my nerve. The choicest fruits of my research are in this rare collection of letters, notes, and interviews compiled for your inspection. Illustrations in this book are great too. Can the Zoomers see that? Yep. Okay. Now, I think when many of us think of monsters, especially around this time of year and with Halloween just a couple days away, we tend to think of the scary ones, right? The creepy ones. And they're all in here. The trolls, the ogres, the witches, the zombies, Bigfoot. But the monsterologist came up with a good monster called the golem. Anyone here know about the golem? Anybody heard of the golem? Well, although extinct, the golem deserves at least a mention, since monsters of the generous sort don't garner much attention. The golem was made by a wizard, a most learned rabbi, they say. Its main job was beating up bullies, although it was just made of clay. The golem could leap from the rooftops or dive to the depths of the sea, collecting a net full of fishes, which the wizard then passed out for free. The golem got its magic power from a paper stuck into its ear. The wizard wrote secrets upon it that only the golem could hear. The golem could work like a robot or fly like a plane on the breeze, and the golem would probably do homework if kids were polite and said please. The golem was such a kind monster. Too bad it's no longer about. Perhaps its ear itched and it scratched it, and the magical paper fell out. So while it appears that the golem may not be around anymore, I wanted to share with you one other beastie, because I'm pretty sure this one might very well be dwelling among us. And when I learned about this one, I thought, I think I have this monster in my house. And I suspect some of you may fallen victim to its kind too. And this is the Suds Surfing Sock Eater. Now, Bobby and the monsterologists do tell us this is all conjecture. And they write, scientific discipline insists I should stay leery and not assume the truth is found in what in truth is theory. Although I've often seen results, I have not seen the cause. Does a monster manage this strange work with long fangs or sharp claws? Steeped in a tea bag in mystery, repeatedly eluding me, this monster is one I've yet to see, yet I know it exists. Who would dare disagree? Through the years it persists, tantalizingly free, to reduce unto one which is started as two, as only a surfing sock eater would do. For who does not own a single sock that once was part of a pair? And who can observe a washing machine without wondering what is lurking there? My theory, it's a self-divider, the surfing sock-eating bubble rider, amoeba shaped to liquidate any sort of sock it ate, and busy multiplying. That's the theory I'm implying. I've lingered in many laundromats to watch the soap suds bubble. I've seen the lonely widowed socks, but not the true cause of their trouble. Anybody missing a sock lately? Kind of makes you wonder, huh? So to conclude, Bobby and the dear monsterologist left us readers with a little suggestion. Years ago when I was young, I found it hard to say what I would be when I grew up and had a job someday. Perhaps if people ask you what you are going to be, you'll choose a fine career like mine in monsterology. Something to think about as you go about your day today. And with that, we'll sing the tune out.
Thank you, Nancy. I want to introduce our meditation this morning with a poem, again from the Methodist minister Steve Garnes Holmes. All Hallowed Eve, before All Saints' Day comes, before we recognize the holy among us, in the dark before I myself am taken up in glory, I have permission to dress up in my deepest fear, my greatest hope, my truest self. I am a dragon, a dead man, a princess, but of course beneath the costume I'm actually a king, a zombie, a magician, an alien, a prostitute, a child. This one night, this hallowed evening, we all are evened out. Everybody's a true soul, wrapped up in illusions, disguised in fears and fantasies. We're all beauty queens and monsters. And for once, everybody knows it. And we're okay with that, because we know within we're humans all alike. This is so we know that on all other days, all who come to us, and we as well, can be ourselves and be accepted at strangers' doors and be given delights. So let's observe a few moments of silent meditation or contemplation. I'll begin it, and Kathy will end it with a chime.
Now is the time during our Sunday service that we remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space and our community. We give with the faith that together we are enough. You can drop your donation into the baskets that will be coming around. You can use our donate page on your website with PayPal or by mail your check through the U.S. mail. You can also use this QR code that will link you to the donate page. We contribute to worthy organizations through our half-plate donations. So we split the Sunday basket with this year with 7 organizations. They are the A.J. Williams Myers African Roots Center, Center for Creative Education, Hudson River Sloop Clearwater, Hudson Valley LGBTQ+ Center, Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative, Seed Song Farms, and the Ulster Immigrant Defense Network. And so today for our offertory, we've got Catherine, the Joy of Living by Edwin McCall, and sung by Catherine and Ella, her daughter.
So Ewan McCall, it's not the last song that he wrote, but it was meant, this song was meant as his farewell to the world and to the people that he loved. The first verse speaks of peaks that he climbed in England, Scotland, and Wales, which are very hard to sing. The second speaks of his wife, the third his children, and the fourth, well, here's the fourth verse. Farewell, you northern hills, you mountains, all goodbye. Moorlands and stony ridges, crags and peaks, goodbye. Glitter Fock, farewell. Kolberg, Scarfell, cloud-bearing Sulven. Sun-warm rocks and the cold of bleak Rose frozen sea. The snow and the wind and the rain of hills and mountains. Days in the sun and the tempered wind and the air like wine. And you drink till you're drunk on the joy of living. Farewell to you, my love, my time is almost done. Lie in my arms once more until the darkness comes. You filled all my days, held my night at bay, dearest companion. Years pass by and they're gone with the speed of birds in flight. Our lives like the verse of a song heard in the mountains. Give me your hand and love and join your voice with mine. And we'll sing of the hurt and the pain and the joy of living. Farewell to you, my chicks, soon you must fly alone. Flesh of my flesh, my future life, bone of my bone. May your wings be strong, may your days be long, safe be your journey. Each of you bears inside of you the gift of love. May it bring you light and warmth and the pleasure of giving. Eagerly savor each new day and the taste of its mouth. Never lose sight of the thrill and the joy of living. Take me to some high place of heather, rock, and ling. Scatter my dust and ashes, feed me to the wind, so that I may be part of all you see. shivers through your hair, reminding you how we shared in the joy of living.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Ella. There are many traditions and meanings connected with this time of year, and I want to try to tease out just a couple of them and try to look at parts of them through the lens of remembrance. And I want to start with some of the words from Ewan McCall's song there. He writes, "Scattered my dust and ashes, feed me to the wind, so that I may be part of all you see, the air you are breathing, reminding you how we shared in the joy of living." So right now, outside these walls, the trees all around us are doing just that. They're scattering their leaves, feeding them to the wind all around us, and the rain today. They leave behind only skeletons of bare branches, but before they do that, the trees make sure that we take notice. They change into amazing different colors. The green of summer turns into yellows, oranges, reds, tans, browns, and even some purples. The trees sing their own kind of song, declaring themselves, celebrating in their own way the end of the season, and making sure that we notice when they go. After they're gone, we remember them and how they painted our world. And then we do the work of raking them up. So now is a special time of year, and it's a time that's been recognized and honored throughout human time. It's a time of transition. You can feel it in your skin with the end of warmth from the sun and the increase of cold. You can see it in the shortening of daylight and the lengthening of darkness. And it's the season we call autumn. And when everything turns cold and dark and the trees become skeletons, we like to talk of things like ghosts and goblins and jack-o'-lanterns, owls and black cats, wandering spirits, scary things, because it's the season of Halloween. In our popular culture, and especially our retail culture, it's a time of dressing up in costumes. And our themes that we embrace that range from the scary to the funny, maybe artistic, maybe risque, transforming us into other people, other beings, or maybe expressing parts of our inner selves. It's a time of mysteries and excitement, of playfulness with the things that might scare us. We bring those mysteries to life. And it's a time of unbelievable volumes of candies and sweets, which to me is a mystery in itself. It's a time when we give out treats to strange creatures who come around to our homes. And we do it out of a sense of tradition because it speaks to us in some way. We may know it from our own childhoods, whether it's about mountains of candy or getting to wear your favorite costume or persona. Or it's the sounds and smells of crunching leaves under our feet as we all march through the night with our bags of goodies. It's a secular holiday, but it's become hardwired into our lives with its own kind of tradition. So, in the Christian and especially Catholic tradition, October 31st is All Hallows Eve, which is followed by All Saints' Day on November 1st, which is followed by All Souls' Day on November 2nd. And together, these form a 1,000-year-old occasion for remembering all people who have died. Now, the meaning and the forms of this observance, even its time during the year, have all evolved over the centuries, which is a story in itself. But All Souls' Day is a day of attending Mass, lighting candles and praying for all those departed in an effort to release them from their sins and from purgatory. And it's a time of visiting and leaving flowers at the graves of those who have departed, of sharing stories. It may be a time of family history, of connection to those past. So in UUism, we like to talk about the Mexican tradition of El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. I think it's because of the incredible job it does of melding this Catholic tradition with pre-Columbian traditions in a way that nurtures a direct relationship between the living and the dead. The older tradition draws upon the Aztec goddess Mictlantecuhtli, which translates as the Lady of the Dead. She's the queen of Mictlan, which is the underworld, and she's the overseer of the bones of the dead, and she's the one who allows spirits to travel back to earth to commune with family members. To celebrate El Dia de los Muertos, people put together altars commemorating their deceased loved ones, and they decorate the altars with offerings that include photos of family members who have died, with candles, favorite foods and drinks, sugar skulls, and lots of marigolds. They're places of beauty. The bright flowers, the oranges and yellows, and their fragrance are thought to help lead souls back to their family homes. And the colors add to the celebration of the holiday. So even though it's wrapped up in death, it's not somber or scary or spooky at all, but rather caring and festive. It's a time to gather and feast. So celebrating the Day of the Dead means facing the fact that death is real, and that even though our loved ones are no longer with us, we can remember them and honor them, and we can be happy that their spirits, whatever we mean by that, can be with us during this time. Jumping over to Western Europe, in the ancient Celtic pagan traditions, this is the time of Samhain, which is spelled Samhain. That's an anathema to those of us like me who've the child of 2 English teachers. So Samhain marks the end of the farmer's year, when crops are harvested and livestock are brought in from pasture. And it also marks the division between the light half of the year and the dark half of the year. It's a time between a bountiful summer and a challenging winter. So Samhain falls roughly at the midpoint between the autumnal equinox in September and the winter solstice in December, and it's seen as a kind of hinge point between the season of life and the season of death, so that it's a time when the veil between the physical world and the spirit world is thought to be especially thin. And this allows spirits of ancestors to visit their families. So customs of Samhain include rituals to welcome ancestors and honor those who have died. Their spirits can return to seek food and comfort, and it also includes rituals to protect against evil spirits who might also come around through the veil. The Druid priests would light communal bonfires, for both cleansing and protection, and food offerings were left outside of villages or burned to appease wandering spirits at the time and to avoid any mischief. Tricks or pranks might be played and then blamed on spirits. And some people might dress in costumes of animals or otherworldly creatures, so to hopefully fool spirits who might bring harm, or maybe to pull pranks, or maybe just cash in on the goodies. And people would let their home fireplaces go out. And at the end of the night's celebration, they would each take home a torch from that protective communal bonfire to rekindle their home fire, to banish evil, to bond with the community, and to prepare to survive the winter. Isn't it interesting that Pope Gregory III moved the date of All Saints' Day from its original time in May to a date that coincides with Samhain, which he did around the year 740. It was an effort to try to depaganize and co-opt that spirit of Samhain. And some years later, a couple centuries, All Souls' Day, which is, to me, is way more inclusive and relatable, was added on as the next day. Isn't it interesting that the power of ancient tradition and of our inner needs to honor remembrance and connection forced the church to change and adapt. Imagine that. So, remembrance and connection are essential nutrients of ourselves and of our communities. I'm talking not just about those who've come before us, but also connection and remembrance of our true selves and of each other. And I might add, those to whom we owe a future. We may mark particular times of the year for them, but they are with us year-round. Here at UU Catskills, we have also changed and adapted, imagine that. And we try to accommodate these needs in our own way. A part of our grounds here are designated for remembrance and connection. Right outside those doors over there, we have a memorial garden. There's a stone circle, an open-air outdoor wall of memorial plaques, and a simple footpath, which is now overgrown and needs maintenance. Don't go there today. The memorial garden here was started in the early 2000s with a strong message from a few of our members that we, as a community, needed something to meet those needs. You may remember Bill and Ellen Bohuniak and Bobby Katz, who provided the initial and very generous funding to make it happen. In 2002, we took a poll of the congregation to help envision and plan a memorial garden, and as is the way of Unitarians, we held meeting after meeting and discussion after discussion to figure out what to do and what form it would take. And I half joked at the time that we were a congregation of maybe 100 or so members with at least 150 and possibly 200 very different and strongly held opinions, many of them mutually exclusive. Even so, through all the meetings and discussions and checking with our peers in other parts of the country, we converged on a sense of the design and construction of the memorial garden and some policies. And because we looked for the common denominators in everything that we heard. And the message we took away or brought home was something like this. First, it should be a place for the return of atoms on loan from the universe. That's a beautiful thought, borrowed from others, that recognizes that nature has its own plans for what to do with the stuff that we're made of. And second, to let it be simple, organic in design, and reflective of the natural world. The most tangible part of the garden is the circle, the stone circle that's outside those doors. And why a circle? Because the circle is a shape of community. It's the shape of inclusion. In different cultures, the circle is a symbol of unity, of wholeness, to some monotheism, to others infinity. It's a symbol of the returning cycles of day and night and of the seasons. It's the shape of the sun and the moon. It's a symbol of safety and protection, of rebirth and regeneration. And it's symbolic of the center of our being in a larger world and universe. A circle faces inward, but it also faces outward. We recognize and we acknowledge the importance of sacred circles of indigenous Americans, the places we know as medicine wheels. And we recognize the importance of ancient stone circles and earthworks around the world. Our circle honors the meaning of the circle through all of these traditions, and it's informed by them, but it is not any of those circles. It is our circle. It's a metaphor for our community, and in that small way, it also tries to be universal. It's a ring of seating stones standing on a circular pad of fine crushed stone, and around the perimeter there are mapped places for the interment of ashes, and it can be a place for scattering our ashes. There are no formal markers on the ground, and for that there's an outdoor memorial wall, a common marker. It holds plaques that are engraved with the names of those we want to remember. Some of them are interred here, many are not. And the wall is open to the elements. It's a design we adopted from the congregation in Des Moines, Iowa. that we had spoken with during our work. And it was designed and built by a local metal worker and artist. From the stone circle, a gate leads to a short footpath through the woods and wetlands and around our pond. I don't know if you knew we had a pond. It's a place for walking as well as for scattering ashes for people and for pets. Again, please don't walk it anytime soon. It needs maintenance. And one part you may not see is the book of remembrance that we keep, where you can create a page, a spread for your loved one. It's kept in the minister's office, and we bring it out at special times for memorial services and other times of remembrance. And we're guided by a set of policies that help us through decisions that often need to be made at difficult times. If you're a member of the congregation and you think that a memorial garden is fitting for you, or if you'd like to help with it, please feel free to talk to me or other members of the memorial garden at any time. Our costs, getting down to business here, are covered by a requested donation, and Bobby Katz would have me recommend that we all plan ahead. Bobby, with her irrepressible and frankly irreverent humor, like to tout it as a special bargain with a sales pitch that went something like, "Pay now, die later." But back to the stone circle. The circle was built in 2008, and it has its own stories to tell. The stones themselves are Catskill bluestone from a nearby quarry not far off Sauk Hill Road. They're gray sandstone from the Middle and Upper Devonian, a time, they're made of sands that were deposited some 400 to 350 million years ago in what we call the Catskill Delta, which was the outflow of these Himalayan scale mountains that stood to our east at the time and flowed into a sea that was then at our west. It was a time when sharks and early fishes swam in deep waters where we sit today. So these stones and the stuff they're made of have been transformed through time, and they're old friends. We invite you to sit with them, put your hands on them, get to know them. Sit with these old friends, or maybe with new ones. Connect, imagine, remember. So all these traditions, All Souls Day, Samhain, El Dia de los Muertos, along with others around the world, all of them mark a time and a way of remembrance and a kind of connection. It's almost as though this season tells us to do this. We celebrate the spookiness and the costumes and the fun of Halloween for sure, but we also embrace the loss, as well as the joys hidden within that loss. We have a season for it, and we have a place for it in this community and in this memorial garden. It's a place of stories, of memories, of meditation. It's a place where leaves and ashes are scattered all around us. And it's a gift. It's an invitation to connection. So let's remember those few of our opening words, that Halloween is a time when we get it right. So let's sing a song. The lyrics, it's Will a Circle Be Unbroken? The lyrics are on your handout. Thank you. So, our closing will be in two parts. The first is a responsive reading, and the words are on the other side of your handout. I'll read the part that's in plain type, and your part is to read the words in italic. It's called This Sacred Thread by Heather Janulis. They once dwelled among us, the people of memory.
They who knew us, they who taught us, they who heard us, they who loved us.
They touch our lives time and time again through their presence and their absence.
Through the familiar scents and favorite songs, through old stories and renewed sorrows.
As the earth turns and leaves fall, we reach back to renew the bonds between us.
With hearts and hands open, we hold on to love, ever stronger than death.
We reach back in gratitude and understanding without our time together, the pain and the joy.
We would never be who we are today. We would have little to pass on ourselves.
Without fear, with thanksgiving, and with hope for all that awaits.
We remember those who have gone before. We honor the circle of life and death, and our place within the sacred thread.
So for the second part of our closing, we'd like to make a space for each of us, for all of us, to name someone that we have lost and would like to remember. What we're going to do is, well, it can be a person, a pet, whatever or whoever. Take your own time. There is no order here, just an open time. What we're going to do is you can stand where you are if you would like to and are able, and just say their name and remain standing. Or you may remain seated. You may whisper the names or say them aloud, or you may hold them in silence in your heart and stand in quiet remembrance. For those of you on Zoom, please say the name to yourself, but you may also share them in the chat if you would like. We're not going to share those here, but the other people on Zoom can do that. So let's take a time for that. Stand and say a name. Bobby Katz.
Louis Hens.
You don't have to do it in order. Just stand as it moves.
Karl.
Joanne.
Anderson.
Barry.
Hutch.
My son Christopher. Jeff and Mike's.
Chris Mitchell and Olivia Day Mitchell.
My partner, Christine Archambault, who is a member of this congregation.
My dog Marley. Put down Michelle. My husband Gary Myers. Mary Dowdy. My sister Barbara.
Let's hold just a few moments of silence. In this time together, we hear the names, all the names, and we know that each name, every name, holds a story. Let's hold these names and these memories in our hearts. Kathy, if you could come help us extinguish the chalice.
Can I read the words?
Read the words.
You have it? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together
Peace.